We ride and we'll never subside, and we'll ride till the planets collide. And if you say that we do not ride, I'll tan your fucking hide. Ride!
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Video Breakdown. I have here History. History by Tenacious D. Okay, so I guess to get started, here is the entire video all laid out and whatnot. You might notice that I don't have a lot of markers down here. I just had a I did before. It's just now it's, I just had it like a, I don't know, had to redo it, so you might see just one or two, because that's just for syncing, to get it the right, spot. So don't worry about that. It is, I'm pretty sure, all synced up as far as the song and the video. So yeah, I guess to start by saying, where I cut. So I'm gonna do that and then that. So you can see there's not much as far as where I cut the song. It's like I say this all the time, but it's just where the song, hits. It's just there's a point. There's like a couple of 0.1 seconds of just kind of silence, and I just trim it down to where it starts. The actual song where it starts playing. So that's just what it looks like, all zoomed out. And I don't think I, scrolling, and I don't think I messed with the, I guess I did. Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, I didn't mess with the outro, if you will, too much, so that's also good. Alright, well, to begin, I kind of want to talk about the theme of the song. So the theme is, it's very obviously supposed to be epic. It's supposed to be, it's all for comedy's sake too, which is great. It's supposed to be their epic rise to fandom, to stardom, and their rise and to power, and what they say in the song. And that's what I really was going for. Was I was trying to find anything that was like that, had that grandiose, epic feeling to it. Yeah, so that's kind of just what I was going for, and I think it worked pretty well. Maybe you might disagree. Yeah. So this first part right here. So this first part was changed a couple times. By a couple times, it's pretty much every other time I put a new piece of footage in there. I decided to use Death Note because, for one, I wanted to justify, I had, sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place. Where is it? Right here. Yeah, so I had this part right here, and it was kind of short, so I wanted to justify using that footage right here, so I felt like it was kind of complete, and I felt like it does kind of complement this, part right here. And two, I in my mind, I was thinking of Light Yagami as like the scryer, or what do you call that, the scribe, the person who's like recording all this history, or not history, I guess, but like this, this band's rise to power, and it just kind of made me laugh, and thinking of it that way. But that's just kind of into the mindset of myself. So yeah, I think this part right here definitely complements the part later on, and I think it works well. I was still unconvinced of the whole thing. I think it definitely works well. It just something about it just didn't really feel 100% right to me, but it still works, I think. So yeah, I liked this Attack on Titan footage. I liked a lot of the footage. Like looking back on it. There's certain pieces of footage that I had in my brain when I was thinking about making this video that were like sort of cemented, and this is the stuff I definitely want to use. I don't want to. Well, I'll try. I don't want to try to find new footage. I just want to, stick to what I've envisioned. And this was like kind of one of them. I just, it's like I should use this footage. Yeah. So, great footage. And I like how it's this part right here, and the horse, it's kind of fast. You might not really see it, but when you slow it down, you can see the horse's like back hoof kind of come down and it cuts the black. And I kind of like that because it just kind of, I don't know, feels intense, more intense, and it's a good way to cut. So, that's what it looks like. So that's kind of a cool thing that was basically on accident. I have a lot of moments where it's just on accident and turns out for the better. Okay, so moving on, I have this shot right here. So the Trigon footage, it's not just Trigon, but anytime you have footage that deals with the 4:3 aspect ratio, or in case of Evangelion 3.33, which is letterboxed, you have to deal with cropping. And I've been trying to actually, keep it consistent with the 16:9 format, which is standard, I guess, what do you call that? Standard video not resolution, but, ratio. So, I mean, it's not much to say about it. It's just, I went from, 4:3 to this. And I actually was kind of messing around with it, like where to place it, and I wanted to get, I really wanted to get the motorcycle in there, so I thought pretty much where it was as far as centering it, was fine. You can see everything. And I thought it was really funny that the line is called "We Walk with Jesus," and he's on a motorcycle. I just thought that was really funny, and just kind of made me laugh. Like, one, that's not the right, I guess, footage, or shouldn't be the right footage, but it's still funny that way, and it makes it more grandiose, epic, and more badass, I guess. Yeah, and once again, it's another thing I had kind of cemented was using, I'm forgetting the character's name, but this guy in Trigon, because it's all about the cross and stuff like that, and yeah. And I cut it. I can't remember how I cut it, but it was a little different than what I did before, the way it looked before. So it's a little more footage and more cuts and more, makes it more spontaneous. This shot, I mean, I don't know if it works or not, but I think it works. It's just kind of that slow rise and whatnot. So yeah, I think it works. Yeah. So moving on. I guess, sorry to go back, the way I kind of made this also, as far as the sections, I guess, the verses, is I would do it in, not exactly threes, but it was in sections where it's like, okay, this is all Trigon, this is all Dragon Ball Z, this is all Redline, and I felt like that's how I looked at it later on, and which maybe had to redo some stuff because it was like kind of out of place and jumpy, and it didn't like flow well. It didn't like, it was just too all over the place, and I thought, make it more consistent. So just did it in sections like this, and I think it works out better. I mean, there's definitely like duplicates, like you have Summer Wars here, Summer Wars there. You have, it's not much. Like I said before, I wanted to justify more of the Death Note footage, so I added more of it here. But it's still more or less in these sections, and a good amount of footage. So yeah. So moving on to the Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball section. So I couldn't really find the best like footage or anything. I tried using like a footage of like Yamcha with the Wolfang Fist, but that didn't work. So I decided to make it Goku, running down Snake Way. I was trying to find other pieces of footage of him running down Snake Way. I think I might have been able to use something else besides this, but I don't know. One, I was running out of time, but I think if I was gonna do it again, I might change this part right here to something a little more, a little different. So yeah, I like this footage right here. I like this stopped and moving train, and it's Broly. So that's just a side thought. And here's another cemented idea of what I envisioned before I actually touched anything on the editing board. Is like I had this this line and this footage in my brain, so I wanted to definitely use this for that. So this part really was challenging. There's like two major pieces, I guess, two major parts in the song that really was just, I kept on second guessing myself and changing it up. So I had a couple different like shots or footage, pieces of footage to use right here. And I even wanted to have, or was going to try to use more of this footage. Like there's a part where I'm going to kind of roll over it, but where Goku kind of does this whole thing where he kind of, launches his fist out there to use right here for this beginning part. I was actually, and I used this part over here, but it didn't make sense. It still looked good, just didn't make sense as far as the entirety of this part, right? All this this section. And I just really liked this shot so much that I just decided to use it right here. And then, and then I had this epic, the dragon fist shot. I think it was a little too fast towards the end, but I think it still works. It made it more fast, but it still looks good. And it still looks more epic, if you will. So, yeah, it's just a fun shot right here. I had this shot. I mean, it wasn't in my brain at the time, but when I was starting editing, I was like, I can use Wrath of the Dragon for this part right here, because that would be the epic, the overly done, the grandiose, So that's what I decided to use for there. I should also talk about, there's like breaks in the video, and I was kind of 50-50 on them. I think they work well. It's not really much. It's like anywhere from like 0.2 seconds to 0.3 seconds of breaks between certain sections. And there's no real reason. It's just the way it was just the way the song felt to me. It's like break, next part, break, next part. So that's the reason why there's kind of like these black breaks in between certain lyrics. So red line. I really like the slow shot right here of them, coming through. What is it? This portal or something? I can't remember what it was, but they, I just like this whole, and like how his eyes are kind of like almost on fire. So I just like that shot a lot, and just really great. Especially when it comes to the epic and the grandiose, you can't beat it with red line. And I just love this whole part right here, because it's just so like, once again, overdone, grandiose, epic, and it's also like just extreme. It's like it's almost like sensory overload. This is actually, it's chopped up into 3 bits, but this is actually just kind of one long. I'm kind of rolling over certain pieces of footage, and I'll just you can see that it's just kind of one long take. I just edited it up to where it's 3 pieces in certain parts, so it's just more, so the lyrics match the pieces. I actually had this part right here, the eye. Sorry, I'm kind of gotta zoom in a little bit. I actually had it kind of roll over here and start this part. But the way I felt, it actually feels better now, because it's just sort of, it goes here, there, that. So it's just kind of, I don't know, it feels quicker, and it also feels like, it just flows a little better, especially when it cuts from here to here, where it feels like the same objects, as far as visually looking, sort of the same object, the eye, and then the speedometer. So yeah, it's just a side thought. And I just like the shaking and the extremeness of the cards going on. I like that shot. So this part is where it gets a little interesting. The Death Note footage. So what I did was I took, I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, this is the entire shot of the theme. There's like a part in the theme song where it goes to this shot right here. And what I did was I would take the last 1.2 seconds of this and I'd crop it so it's just, you can see that the entire thing is actually this. When I cropped it, it was, you can't really tell right now, but basically when I cropped it, it would be like this. And I'll show that in a second. I would make sure I had it centered up like that, and then I push it up to the very top right corner so it gets to Ryuk. As far as quality, it really bothered me at the quality. I wish it was more crisper, but I think it still worked well. Actually, when you see the entirety of the whole thing like that. So yeah, I would just crop the top right, and I'd crop the bottom left. So this basically is these two shots right here are the same thing. Basically, it's just cropped as this. So it's just the cropping of this shot right here, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's just a cropping of Light Yagami and Ryuk. So it goes from, Kyle's fingers be silver, which is also funny to me because it's like he's kind of silvery in his appearance. And then what's his name? Jack's voice be gold. So, and another thing that it's kind of funny to me because it's like this is like the I can't remember what the painting is, but it's a parody of the religious picture, but it's also the album cover of Tenacious D, of that Pick a Destiny album, and I thought that was really cool. So another reason why I use the footage. Yeah, it's just cropping these two shots, and then I just let it ride like that. And I had I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just because it was sort of the summer, or what, or maybe it's just the way it worked well. I just used a lot of Summer Wars footage, so that's the reason why I had it like that. Yeah, and I liked the fact that the lyric is robots, and it's just like everyone kind of looks the same in this, these couple of shots, and then there's a robot right here. So I thought it was, poetic in a way, visually poetic, and I like the way this kind of leaps out and kick. Yeah. So I guess right here I didn't want to speed up or slow down this shot right here because the way it worked, the timing, it was perfect, and so I just added this last bit right here, which I think is like a second of footage. Yeah, it just helps it flush out the entire lyric and moves it on to this. So pretty much where I got into second guessing again is from this point to, I believe, this point, I had Fooly Cooly as just basically all this. And I had it where, what's her name? But she's like, she's going through the sky, and there's that guy with a gun, and he shoots the bullets. And I didn't want to use that because it was just one long take, and it was kind of boring. And so I decided to change it and make it more, even though it's Evangelion and it's all Evangelion, it's still, somewhat more spontaneous and grandiose. And it made it more, I don't know, just more exciting to watch. Even though in my mind, the thought process of using that Fooly Cooly footage was the ridiculousness of the whole thing. So I think this whole thing works out well. I used, for this first part, I used the Avas, all the Avas. This was a little difficult because it was like, I wanted it to be a little bit faster, actually, and this is a little slower, so it's not too slow. I don't think it's only 6% slower. So it's not too bad, and I think it works well still, but I wanted to be a little slower, or faster, excuse me. And for this part, it was kind of an odd thing. I was kind of debating whether or not I should change it or what, but as you can see, it's like it's two shots. It's this shot right here, and then it cuts to this. It's it's one long take, I guess, but it's basically two shots. Like there's that, and then it goes to this. So I think as far as timing wise, it works well, but a little confusing, I guess. I don't know. Just to me, it is. Yeah. So yeah, I think it works all right. I don't think I have too big of a problem with it. Yeah, and then of course you got to have more explosions. And a point here is I wanted to, with certain, like the Supreme, when it goes to Supreme, it has that long Supreme line. I wanted to be either explosions or angelicalness, if that makes sense, if that's a word. It wanted to be, angelic, angel-like. So I think I did both. So I have, right here the explosion, and then over here I have, sort of the more angelic footage, which is also, I guess, famous in Evangelion. So that's a plus. So yeah, just explosions and angelicalness. And I like this shot right here because I'm gonna run over the footage again. Sorry. Zoom up a little bit and zoom over here. So I like this shot because it's like, even though the real thing is like you can see the entire Ava, before it's like sort of a setup to the Evangelion running, and then the next shot is him running. Unit 1. So I just like the way that it flows right here. Yeah, so yeah, once again, epicness right here, I guess. I'm not a fan of the word, but it's what it is. It is larger than life. And another setup running. So, and I just really liked all the Summer Wars footage that I used. Especially this part here where it's the long Supreme line, so just like that. Yeah, the way it worked out was good. I liked it. And I liked how, because before this line is the same as, I believe, this line. I can't hear the music, but yeah, I think it's the same as this one right here. This part is the same as this part. And I just liked how this whole thing kind of ran into, like before, like this right here is like two different shots, and then this one is like one take, one shot over two lines of lyrics, or two, pieces of the song, if that makes sense. Yeah, so once again, I just really liked all the footage I used from Summer Wars. It worked out so well with the last part because it wasn't different. Like, as for example, this is kind of different in a way it flows lyrically, and just the shots used are just different. But this is sort of chronologically the same. It's the same kind of scene, and sort of just basically almost the same footage. If that makes sense. Like I've said that before, but yeah, it's the same thing basically right here, and then you can't really see it too well, but just flows off between all the other pieces well. And I wanted to use actually more, because you can see there's this great part right here where it's like she's slamming down the card, but with the timing and everything, it just didn't work too well. And I think it still worked well enough. So it's just, epic. And, Supreme. Yeah. And then there's the end credits, if you will. The end slate. Yeah. So it was just a incredible video to make. It was very detail-oriented, I think. I put a lot of thought into it, as I don't think I have in other videos. I think I put, more, I guess, mental effort into this one. yeah, so I think at the end of the day, it was fun to make. Glad I made it. I did make it on iMovie, so that's cool, I guess. Yeah. What more to say? I don't know. It was fun to make. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something as much as I did from this video. And I'll see you next time. Bye.